online listeners. So first on the agenda, does anybody have a pecuniary interest? You can declare it now. And our first action item is regarding the Social Infrastructure Fund. And Christine, you can explain our recommendation and the details.
Sure. So we have a report before you with the details regarding the Social Infrastructure Fund, the planned commitments that staff are making a recommendation towards. So we have a program delivery and fiscal plan that we are proposing. And probably the easiest thing to do is here we go. Sorry, looking for the page. We're scrolling instead of going directly to them. So it's just to show you the breakdown of the program components in terms of how we've distributed and allocated the funds for the first year and the second year. And a large component of this new funds is the SHIP funding, which is the funding for the housing units. And then the other piece of it is the doubling of the IAH funding. So those are the home repair programs, the home ownership programs, the new rental programs. And of course, there's administrative dollars connected with those two different streams. And so what we have before you is a plan that we believe follows the long-term housing plan in terms of how we are suggesting that we direct the money. And you'll see that there's another information report connected to the operating component where we're suggesting a pilot of a new rent supplement that would focus on meeting needs of supportive housing tenants. And so those the suggestion that we're making here around the commitment for the operating is for that pilot program that we're talking about in the information section of the agenda. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Milt?
Yeah, I'm just looking at that list there. The home ownership one, are we involved in that much anymore?
So we are still involved in it, and typically we are doing 2 to 3 of them a year just from our revolving fund. Again, the home ownership component does help with the entire continuum because as we're able to move people into home ownership, it opens up more rental. But as you're all aware, we do have a lot of home ownership already where we have aged stock. And so that's why we're putting a lot more of the focus on the Ontario Renovates because we're helping people to stay in the homes that they already have. Okay. So we did want to keep a small component for home ownership to assist with that, but our revolving fund is usually allowing us to do 2 or 3 home ownerships a year just from the funds coming back in.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So we'll go back to the recommendation then. So the recommendation that the approval be granted for the Social Infrastructure Fund plan commitments by program component as outlined in this report, and that the Social Infrastructure Fund be used to provide funding for the approved expression of interest from Russell Meadows in Kincardine to cover the cost of the project that was previously not covered under the IAH extension program. And that the Housing Services Manager be delegated authority to transfer the funding commitments between program components within a given year as permitted under the provincial program guidelines. So I need a mover and seconder. Moved by Mitch, second by Milt. Any further discussion? All in favor? And that carried. So the next item then is the action item B, the 2017 Social Services and Housing Capital Submission. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And I apologize, given that we're on the online section, there isn't a lot I can do with the view that you're seeing there, but you have it on your own, I assume. So I'll just highlight for you the departmental capital submission for 2017 is an increase in slightly over 100,000 from 2016, and that is really driven from the housing facilities capital. And so I'll talk about the housing facilities capital in greater detail in the board meeting when we have that later. So for now, just to clarify our capital budget for the department, About 50,000 of the ask is for IT, equipment replacements, and general administration needs, a few small furniture and filing cabinet replacements and items such as that. And then again, the balance of the ask is for the housing facilities program. So if you had any questions about the administrative programs, you'll see that they're broken down by our sub-activity or program areas in each of them. If you had any questions, I'm happy to ask. And otherwise, I'll talk further about housing facilities in the board meeting.
Does anybody have any questions? Now, I couldn't find, like, it says it's an action item, but I didn't see a recommendation for this. Is it more information and it's in the other report?
Through you, Chair. Donna, do you have the same wording that's to be used for, if you could share it?
Thank you, because my computer isn't working. It's like this one, so I couldn't find it. So that's the recommendation. Could I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Janice and second by Robert. Any further discussion? All in favor? And that carried. Okay, thanks. So next we have the information items, and 3A is the Community Infrastructure Fund. And I'll let you explain it more.
Great, thank you. So this is what I was speaking to earlier with the Social Infrastructure Fund report, that we would like to pilot a new initiative in keeping with our long-term housing strategy in providing more supports in terms of rental. And so this is an RFP that we'd like, or sorry, excuse me, an expression of interest that we'd like to put into the community to see if there's an agency that would be interested in providing that type of support. And we would flow the available rent supplement dollars so that they could then assist the tenants that they're supporting in flowing that to the landlords. And you'll see that Tanya has the detailed information before you and has attached a copy of the expression of interest that would go out as well too. So again, happy to take any questions if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, it's just for your information. And seeing none, we'll go to the information item B, the Wage Enhancement Grant. The Home Child Care Enhancement Grant and administration funding.
Thank you. So for your information, Brenda Wilton has prepared a report to highlight how we're distributing the administrative dollars that we received in connection with the Wage Enhancement Grant Program, so that you're aware of the dollars that are flowing into the community, to the child care centers to assist them with their administrative costs of this program. And there's also some funds that are retained within the County of Bruce for the costs that are associated for our administration. And again, happy to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions from committee? Did you have something, Kelly?
Through you, Madam Chair, not a question, but a comment that we did make a request to AMO for a delegation to address this, and we have been granted a delegation for it.
Good. So that was for information as well, and if there's nothing further, our next meeting is on September the 8th, and I'll ask for a mover and seconder for adjournment. Moved by Janice, second by Milt. All in favor? And we are